We're going to meet a group of players who 25 years ago did something that was so magical. Now, you guys don't know it, but I want you to imagine we're going to be talking about a fairy tale with a great beginning, a great middle, and a great end that people tell generation after generation after generation because it was so great. These players became heroes and legends for generations. And that's what I'm talking about here, guys. You're going to meet some guys that you'll want to talk to your kids about. This team created memories that, as Sam Rosen so eloquently said, this one will last a lifetime. So let's bring out, and I'm going to stand because they created something I'll never forget. And if you guys want to stand and applaud these people, let's do it. Assistant coaches, Dick Todd. Head coach, Mike Keenan. General manager, Neil Smith. Thank you. Doug Lidster, Esa Tikkanen, Sergei Nemchinov, Craig McTavish, Greg Gilbert, Mike Hartman, Jeff Bukaboom, Jay Wells, Joey Koser, Alex Kovalov, Glenn Healy, Stefan Matteau, Mike Richter, Glenn Anderson, Adam Graves, Kevin Lowe, Brian Leach, and the captain, Mark Messier. So, Mark, I know you're having trouble talking, so naturally I'm going to start with you.
Perfect, Al. Thank you.
Tell us about last night, things you thought about as the night went on.
Without crying. I thought a lot. I was excited about the weekend. I guess the first thing came to my mind how comfortable it is 25 years later, being around everybody and just how seamlessly things have gone and talking to everybody. So that was one thing. And then how to, talk about that year that had some meaning and try to reflect how proud we all are of each other and what we were able to accomplish. So I think the pride thing was something I thought about, and I think if you ask everybody here, they would say the same thing, that we all feel a lot of pride what we're able to accomplish.
When you got your rings, you told me that every time you look at the ring, you're going to see a movie. What's your favorite movie when you look at the ring?
The symbolism of the rings and the symbolism of the banner is about the journey that we went on as a team, starting in, really training camp. And I think every year is a journey to that effect where you never know what's going to be the motivation for the team or how the team is going to gel, and you're always looking for that perfect blend of synergy between the team. And when it unfolds the way it did and we're able to come together and accomplish something that we hadn't, or the team hadn't done in 54 years, to be a part of that journey, I think I'm always going to be reminded when I see our 94 banner hanging from the ceiling, or when I see Glenn wears his rings a lot, so I look at Glenn wearing his rings.
Somebody asked me that. How many of you guys are wearing your ring?
Well, we all got one last night, just new one. Oh, that's a great idea last night. That was a...
Hey, Neil, this process had a build-up, and you could argue it started with Adam Graves. Take me through that process.
The Adam Graves story, should I tell the whole one, or is just tell part? Just tell...
Very short.
Short? Okay. I drafted Adam Graves in Detroit when I was chief scout of Detroit. So I knew him, I knew his dad, I knew his character. And I was shaking in my boots to sign him as a free agent, because the way that worked, Al, was when you signed a Group 1 free agent back then, you got him, but you had to work it out with the other GM, who was Sather at the time, who was, 5 Stanley Cups and, and a horse trader. You had to work it out with him, and you had to come up with some compensation. So, we had it figured out that Troy Millette and Adam, as much as they weren't equal players in anybody's eyes, but statistically, a judge couldn't argue that, second-round picks and stuff. So we got Adam. And at the same time, of course, Glenn had been talking to me about Mark before that. But I couldn't be sure that I would get Mark, so I had to get Adam. Like, I could do that without Glenn doing anything. I could just attack. And I thought for sure I'd blown, if there was any chance to get Mark, I'd blown it now. I didn't want to, but I thought that I had because he was so mad at me. But as it turns out, that obviously didn't happen, and ownership in Edmonton needed to go their way with, they didn't have the resources that the Rangers had, and we worked out the trade for the young guys, the more inexpensive guys, and Bernie Nichols. And you know what, Al? It's a long process of pieces and names that you can't forget, because without those names, this all never would have happened. So everything sort of is a dominoes effect. That I got very fortunate.
Adam, did you know what you were getting yourself into? What did you see as things got added and things got taken away? And
Well,
I mean, you were the one on the ice who screamed out 1940. I mean, you knew what the deal was.
quite honestly, I think what really sparked the fire, and it didn't matter where you were in the United States, in Canada maybe a little less, but certainly in the United States, we'd always have a section, 2 sections, 3 sections, half the rink in some places that would be wearing Ranger blue. And it angered local fans. And what was their ammo? 1940. It didn't matter whether you're winning, you're losing. And quite frankly, that's the thing that changed when Mark came in. He said, we're here to change that. We're here to win a Stanley Cup. So is it something that you know, before you put your head on the pillow, you were thinking about fans in opposing team rinks chanting 1940? No, but it was something that we were all proud to chase and put at the forefront and change that mentality, that was something we wanted to get.
Messier against Pilon in the corner. Well, Grodnick got it to Turcotte. Now to Patrick. One times it. Save, score! Mark Messier. It's a power play goal.
From your vantage point, how did you become a Ranger?
I asked to be a Ranger. Very honestly, I asked Glenn if he would trade me to the Rangers. I think at Edmonton at that point, we had kind of run our course. We had lost to Minnesota, and everything has just started changing. It was just, it just felt like it was ending. And I just asked Glenn that maybe it's just time to move on. And he goes, all right, well, where would you like to go? And I go, well, do you think you could trade me to New York? Then that was it. Then I played in the, I think, the Canada Cup that summer. Went home to Hilton Head, waiting for the season to start, and got the call that I had been traded to New York, and had to jump on a plane. I was on the golf course, actually. Had to leave the golf course, jump on a plane, and play in Montreal the next night. So it was, in a way, I wanted to come to New York. I wanted to live in New York. I wanted to. It was time for me at that age to change professionally, but also change from a personal standpoint. Glenn was nice enough to make a deal with Neil and get me here.
So, Mike, you're a really good team. You have a playoff disappointment. The next year, you missed the playoffs. Summer of '93, you're about to begin this journey. What do you remember about the lead up to the season?
We were a team that was looking for success, and we knew we had more in us. You get somebody like Mark, and it changed the complexion of everything we did right away. It gave us confidence. It was, you know, you're looking at a Hall of Fame player coming into your locker room. It was like out of the blue. It was just dropped in there. It was an entirely different feel. You know, from that point on, it was an opportunity to play with one of the best players in the world, so everybody relished it. And you could feel something building there. We had young guys that were good. Every single guy that we seemed to be adding pieces of the puzzle just made the place better. You know, you're giving up something to get it. And there's always that risk, as we were talking about the trade deadline and everything else. But you have to keep that locker room, and you have to keep building what's in the locker room. And the closeness that we feel here is a big component of that. The guys that came in weren't just good players, they're great people. And I think that's what kind of overwhelmed a lot of us. We were just telling a story about Mark inviting Adam and Brian and I over during the lockout one year to his home, and brings you in, and you know, you have to start looking at that team, as he said last night, as a family. And that really, it really changed that fall, that day.
Mike, you came onto the scene, and somewhere along the summer of '93, you decided to create a video of what the parade would look like, and you decided that there would be a picture of the Stanley Cup on the wall in London when this team started the preseason. Tell me about those decisions.
Most importantly, I'll tell this little story. So we're showing the video. People don't know this. And it starts at the top. And we're showing this video, and Mark is about this gentleman away from me in the front row. And as you saw last night, tears start coming down his cheek.
I don't remember that, Mike.
Not a chance.
And I turned to Dick and I said, well, we've got a chance because the big guy's all in already. But he expressed to me, like, nobody really put it out there in front of him. Like, this is what we're doing. This is our goal. There's nothing else that's going to matter. And so he said, I was waiting for this to happen. So that was a good start.
Valuable player in the Stanley Cup playoffs is Brian Leach.
The first American-born player to ever win the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Brian, where was your head at going into this season?
I was excited for that year. There's a lot of high expectations, and the way the season went was good. We had our ups and downs early, but once we got up and running, we had a good run. We had a good through December and into January. We knew we were a good team, and we had a lot of, good relationships. Mark had kind of changed the dynamic of how important it was to do everything as a group. The trainers, everybody's family was involved in every function that could make it, and it was fun for a kid that grew up in Connecticut and played hockey for fun, and then didn't know anything about Central Scouting, and all of a sudden people are asking you about being on a Central Scouting draft board, and where you're going to get drafted, and you get drafted from a team 2 hours away from where you grew up, and so now you play a couple of years and you're in this situation. I had high expectations. I was really enjoying my time in New York leading up to that.
So the season gets started, and there's this confusing game against the Ducks. What the heck happened in that game, Brian?
You're going to either have to put it up there or tell me what happened in that game. I have no idea.
Who remembers? Who remembers?
No idea what
Clearly
you're
very,
talking about.
very confusing.
Selective memory, Mike, you must remember.
I do, but I'm not telling him. Well,
Essa will know.
that's the pipe in.
Type in.
No.
All right.
That's part of the continuity of the group. What stays in the group, it goes on in the group, stays in the group. So.
Al, you're trying to say it was a bad memory for me?
Yeah.
I blocked all those out now.
You guys sound so guilty right now. It's not even.
We don't remember one
Now
last game.
Now I'm curious. What did happen?
I don't know.
I think I got pulled twice.
Mike Bentley.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Mike, can you explain how the Black Aces came to be?
Nick Kiprios and I played junior together. We were best friends in junior. And we are competing for a spot. There's 4 left wingers. This is like an all-star team here. You look at these guys, and Nick's over, and I said, Nick, I might have to fight you in practice. He said, that's fine, but we'll still go out for dinner after. And we were great friends. And then Eddie O, I played in Winnipeg with. He was a Black Ace, and he would say, Hardy, you look awful tonight, trying to get on the bench. I get to the bench, and he goes, oh, man, I used to see what Mike just said about you. I said, what? He said, you were awful tonight. Because we're fighting, but we were best friends. And then the core group, the guys that I looked up to, were there for you. So, I don't even know how to define Black Ace. We were just taken care of by everybody, and it was just like really a dream come true, and to be around, make me cry, just great people.
Glenn, and I'm always petrified when I say that. What was your role on this team going to be? Did you think?
We had Mike Keenan as our coach. I had no idea what Mike. I just believed this group had it all. We were fast. We had the best leader. We had the best center iceman. We had the best Ranger goalie ever. We had one of the best game breakers in Glenn Anderson. We had a guy like Doug Lidster. No, not you. Doug Lidster who stepped into the finals. We had the great Black Aces. We had it all. Now, hey, that being said, we had no goalie coach, and so Mike and I were psychiatrists for one another. We were goalie coaches for one another, and there were days we both laid in the fetal position, and it was okay. That was my role.
Coming down to 5 minutes to go. Third period, 2-2 the score. Ryan Leach moves in around Glenn. He turns, he fakes, Kovalov scores! A power play goal! Alexei Kovalov gives the Rangers a 3-2 lead.
Alex, what was your role in this whole thing? Coach Keenan tried to push all your buttons and get you to be better. What happened?
First of all, come back, a little bit, my story. When I got drafted, I didn't even know about it. I find out from my friend that who came to the base where we were usually located in practice, and he told me, I wrote in the newspaper that you got drafted. So I was like, what does that mean? So, I mean, not like these days when the guy's coming in for draft and they're sitting there and they be part of the draft. And back then, I didn't know anything about it, and maybe the only guy was experienced that. And so when he told me that, I said, okay, what's the next step? So what is that? So I'm going to be playing for that team, or like what is going on? So he said, yeah, I mean, this team located in America, and you're going to be probably playing for them. I said, where is that going to happen? So I was like, no, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I read. And then first they didn't start it well because it was being sent down to a farm team and bring me back the farm team. So at one point I was thinking about maybe it's just not a place for me. And actually I was thinking coming back to Russia and play Dynamo again. But after that I thought, you know what, I'm going to give myself a little bit more time and see what happened. And I said one thing because I was so skilled and I knew what I capable of. And one point, what I was, I think the third time when they sent me to Binghamton, I said, you know what, like I'm gonna prove everybody and make everybody believe and think about it. Like why is this kid here? Like what is he doing here? So what I started doing it, I was taking the puck and wouldn't let it go. I wouldn't pass to anybody. I would just like stick handling. I remember coaches from other team be yelling like slash him, do something to him or like whatever. So I've been scoring every game like 2-3 goals, and eventually people say like, what is he doing in the farm team? And after that I stay, and then Mike came, and right away I felt I'm in the family. I always use that word, and Mark used it yesterday, that even when we these days coach the kids, we always say, when you play team sports, there's always two families. One at home and one when you come to the team. If you have that family in the team, then you can win anything.
Hey, Joey, when all hell broke loose, that was coaster time. Is it hard to be that guy?
No, it was awesome being that guy. As long as you were the one standing at the end.
What's your favorite moment of the year?
Just the guys. Being with this team, like everyone says, it's a family. We did everything together. It was talked about last night, the Halloween parties. Everything was done with the players, the wives, the girlfriends, the families, and just we live together. And winning with a family is the greatest thing in the world.
Jake, you somehow lasted 18 years.
Somehow.
It's awesome. I just don't know how you do it. Where did this one season fit into those 18 years?
Pretty amazing season for me. I had played 14 years before getting onto a squad like this, and a team that was, and I can say this with all confidence, I'm so proud to be on this team. Back in '94, it was an amazing team, an amazing ride all year long, and so this was a fantastic season for me. I knew when I came in, when I got traded, that they were short of goal scorers, and and so
they were still short.
When I got there, I realized I had some good goal scorers, so I had to change my whole game to be more physical. But I knew my role, and I say, it takes a lot of pieces to win a Stanley Cup, and I say I knew my role, and I was very happy to and very comfortable in my skin and playing that role. And I say I was tickled to be here. It was just an amazing year.
Islanders are 15th on the penalty killing unit overall. The 24th on the road. Score! Messier got it in the zone to Leach, and it is a 1-0 Ranger lead.
So, Jeff, you've always been so great when you speak about Brian, but he had to be annoying at times.
Yeah, because he never gave me the puck.
Thank God.
It was funny because I always say I think I won the lottery when it came to defense partners. My first defense partner was Paul Coffey. And then I came here and it's Brian Leach, and I go, God, what did I do to deserve this? But because, you know, I always, it's funny because I describe him like Wayne Gretzky. I said he's a better person than he was a hockey player. I describe Brian Leach as the most underrated hockey player I played with. Woo!
Sergei, that championship year was significant because of the Russian names going on the Stanley Cup. Talk to me about the pride that you felt of having that honor.
I knew the Mark, I knew the Kevin Lowe, Glenn Anderson when we played the Russia-Canada game. You too? Okay. Now we are gonna go for a big goal. And this season, '94, it was very special. But to see the cup, you're always saying first Russians in the cup. Yeah, it's first Russian, but it wasn't the goal. The goal was to win as a team, to win as
Mark, was the funniest guy on the team the obvious choice? Was it Esa Tikkanen?
There was a lot of humor, a lot of good laughs, a lot of great sense of humor, a lot of great moments, and we all shared it. From that standpoint, never mind the hockey standpoint, I think if we just did that and rode the buses and the travel and the hotels and did all that, we would have had a great time. And then you throw on the hockey and winning the Stanley Cup on top of it all. But and I think when you really think about it, maybe that is the most important thing for any team, is to make sure that all that other stuff is happening and players are looking forward to coming to the rink every morning with a new sense of what's possible. And we had that, this team had that. Our morning stretches were legendary. It was like the coffee time or one of these talk shows in the morning. There was all the sip and all these things that had happened the night before, and it was all shared, and it was just amazing thinking back now about it.
Esa, how did you use your personality to help this team win?
The guys all the time tell me, nobody understands me.
Yeah, it's big-headed. You got a bleep there.
This is great. That's what we needed. This team was the family. And one thing I remember every time, doesn't matter. I'm from Finland, Russia, Canada, USA. Everybody understands me in a joke. But it was lots of fun. And when I come in this team in '93, first of all, I was playing with the Edmonton Oilers. And thanks, Neil. 4 o'clock, I got a phone call. Glenn Sater say, "Hey, Tiki, you've been traded today, New York." I say, "Oh, Island." Thanks a lot, Glenn. Glenn said, "No, you go Rangers. You play against us tonight." I said, "Okay, that's great." I'm going in dressing room. I see mess, gravy, Andy, Kevin, boom. I say, "Hey, Regional 7. Easy game. Let's play the game. Let's win." Well, it's really in this team was like everything in New York. Madison Square and win the game 7 is unbelievable. Like, there's guys who's been winning Stanley Cup, 6 Stanley Cups, and I bet everybody say best Stanley Cup is New York, Madison Square.
It's nice that Tick has enhanced the vocabulary of our youth here tonight. And there are two things that you need to win. One, obviously, skill, and the other is energy. And the thing that was amazing to me is, like Tick, you don't always agree with what he says or how he says it, but he brings energy. And when you're in a team environment, you need people that are going to bring energy to the rink every day. And he was one of those guys. Obviously, we draw a lot of energy from the fans in New York who are, you know, unsurpassed, really, in a lot of ways. I'm not sure how it would have went if we lost Game 7. There was a lot at stake, but, you know, everybody, there weren't any energy suckers on that team.
Back past the group, now to Ferraro. Side of the net, Delgado in front, saved by Richter, and another one on Derek King. Mike Richter with a phenomenal performance.
Rangers with a complete domination once again, third in a row as they march along.
Greg, what was your view of this whole thing?
In that dressing room, it was, you would walk in and you knew every night you had an opportunity to win. You were going to win. It wasn't a question of, you know, what's the other team going to do? It's all about what we're going to do. And the beauty of this team was, you know, your star players respected the role players and vice versa. The role players respected the star and the star players. And, you know, we knew we had a job to do. Everybody on that team had a job to do. And it wasn't like, you know, we were trying to cut somebody else's legs out to get more ice time. It was, I know what I have to do, I know what my job is, and we're going to go out and do it. I mean, every piece was in place. You talk about, you know, 20 years of coaching, you talk about a puzzle. And the puzzle for this team was perfect. And to this day, I still say, shouldn't have gone 7, but it did, and we found a way. And we were talking about it earlier with Steph and Hardy and a few others, and this is just my personal experience, but it's been 25 years, but for a split second, almost every day, it comes back to me.
Hey, Coach Todd, when it does come back to you, when you think back to what happened that year, what are some of the most prominent thoughts that you have?
Early on in training camp, Mike asked me to run the end of a practice, and it involved hard work. And so you can, as a coach, you can sort of, nobody likes to work too hard sometimes, you know, it's an effort. And after the practice, I talked to Mike and I said, Mike, I can't believe this. Our captain got into the effort of working hard, and he showed everybody on the ice that up and down the ice twice as hard as you can go means up and down the ice as hard as you can go. And he was, I don't want to belittle anybody else, but in the group of 7 that he was in, he was finished when everybody else was trying to cross center ice. And I said, we're going to have a hell of a year when we have that situation. It was a tremendous run, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And the people of New York supported that team and have still supporting it. And it's the fans, it's the city, it's the energy. And I'll mention a name that hasn't been mentioned tonight, John Amaranti singing the national anthem. That made goose pimples in my back and neck, and I was ready to go, you know, and I didn't have my skates on. But it was a wonderful experience.
So Kevin, great regular season, and you face the Islanders. And I remember the first couple of games were pretty one-sided, but I remember, this is just me, feeling a great tension about this big mountain that everybody knew you were trying to climb. Did you guys feel that?
Any year, any playoff year, regardless of how successful you've been in the regular season, and particularly in our case, because we had a lot of experience knowing that we could lose because we had lost before in years. So you should never take an opponent or underestimate an opponent. What speaks to the overall power of our team was that we could control the play and knock a formidable foe in 4 games. And really, in hindsight, that really helped us in the grand scheme of things, because you want to play as few games as possible, because you know you're going to have a tough series, or maybe a tough 2 series. As it turns out, we had 2 7-game series, and when you think about, the left defense for the Rangers in 93, 94, of course you had Brian Leach playing as much as possible, and then you had 2 35-year-old defensemen, and Jay Wells and myself, who were just trying to get in a little bit of ice time when Leachy was exhausted. and so we were there just not to screw up, and I think they call them fillers. And that's in all due respect to my good buddy Jay. But no, we were a couple old defensemen, and so the shorter the series, the better. And I think the Islanders series really helped us. The fact that we were able to win it so in such a short time.
Meto swoops in to intercept. Meto behind the net. Swings it in front. He scores! Meto! Stefan Meto! And the Rangers have one more hill to climb, baby! But it's Mount Vancouver!
Next, the Rangers face the New Jersey Devils, which brings us to you. I didn't forget about you. This is all about timing. Devils, you get it? So you do something extraordinarily rare, not once, but twice. And you were so much more of a playoff player than a regular season player. You've had a lot of time to think about it. Why was that?
You didn't read the article this morning or something? Please help me out here. First of all, I'm very grateful that I have matching socks today, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing in front. I'm always in the back. And obviously the Devils, game 3, I scored. And then if Zalapukin doesn't score with 7 seconds to go, I'm sitting in the back.
You know, the funny part about that is you're probably right.
I am right. And Hessa was like 2 inches to score. Like if you look at the video, a lot of things took place, and while I was waiting in the first period, nobody wanted to score, so I did it. I'm a very unselfish person. I give them a period to do it, so it was past my bedtime, so I said,
Past my bedtime.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you Mark, why did you guys win that series?
Because you could look at the series from a hockey standpoint and say it was 50-50. They were a good team, we're a good team. Number 1 and 2 over the course of the season. Very little separating us. And I think it's always the intangible things that push teams over the edge. And not that the Devils didn't have the intangibles, but if you look at the 2 teams, I think that we were a lot more experienced than they were in that regard, and I think that probably was the difference in the end.
You guys give up a goal in a Game 7 with 7.7 seconds left. That's just crazy. Everybody in this room is going to get punched in the chest at some point. That was...
No, but I'm very thankful for that. Not everyone.
I want to say that was for Steph.
How do you do that? How do you take a bad episode and put it behind you?
Beat up the referee.
Yeah. Should have been standing there. I think hockey's an emotional game, and as Mark said, we had very tough practices. We had high expectations. We had been through a lot through the year. You're not going to be given a championship, and it's just part of the deal. And then, there's certain moments you remember forever. And one thing that I do remember is coming off the ice right then and there. You didn't have time to process it and then go to the locker room. I mean, it was, they dropped the puck and the period's over. Leachy had that magical turnaround. That should have been the game-winning goal. We were a disciplined team. We were still playing, but they got an extra whack at it. I did think it was under me, so I was a little hot, but we went to the locker room, and you kind of are going to make or break your season in that 15 minutes when you're not able to do a thing. And there's broken sticks, and there's trash cans turned over, and people are upset, and you can't just look down and say, Mess, say something. Everybody's got to do it. But I do remember Kevin Lowe saying, we'll be all right. If it wasn't so damn hard, it wouldn't feel so good when we do it. That's the only thing I can remember being said, basically. And guys just pulled up their socks and went out and competed. And, there's, in that moment, it's not magical. You just have to dig. And we had so much character, like we keep saying in the room, that there's a lot of confidence going out for those games, or for those periods.
So you guys beat the Devils in a ridiculous double overtime Game 7. Go on and face the Vancouver Canucks. And an up and down series that winds up in another Game 7. So let's relive the final frantic seconds at Madison Square Garden.
Now Craven steps in. Craven against Messier. Messier gets to the puck. Moves it. It's blocked by Courtnall. In deep. Bounces past Linden. Leafs trying to play it. Modesto centers, it was stopped by Zubov. Linden back pass. Bure shoots. Blocked in front. Into the corner it goes. Courtnall hits Zubov for the pass. Zubov swings it around. Larber clears the zone. That's it. 54 years of curses are over. No more 1940. Yes. The New York Rangers are going to win.
Sam, there's 1.1 seconds on the clock.
1.1.
I'd like to see
hold the celebration one more time.
Gotta see the replay again. I mean, Pavel Bure stopped skating. They have one man back, and that's Brown. Bure is going to go ahead with quick hands. McTavish will have to nullify it.
Here it is. The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions. And this one will last a lifetime.
No more curses. This is unbelievable. These people have waited a long time. Fans, players, coaches. Unbelievable.
Let the celebration begin.
That was unbelievable.
That was not icing. That's for sure. And then he adds 0.5 of a second to boot. Craig, I love you for it. Did you cheat on the face-off?
I'm not really even sure why I was taking that draw. Like Mark would normally take those face-offs. I don't think I've ever really, other than a rare act of brilliance from the coaching staff. I don't know.
Rare.
It gave me another, yeah.
Mark, what was your emotion when you saw the icing? I mean, Sam Rosen does not make mistakes like that. I mean, every instinct in Sam's body said, this game is over.
Well, I think normally in any other circumstance, I think everybody would have said it was over. But what happened in the other game against New Jersey where they scored late, I think it was on everybody's mind. So now we're going, oh my God, is it going to happen again? And I think it was probably, why the building got a little bit quiet. But I think it only added to the drama. For whatever reason, there was just so much drama, so much excitement, and the swings of emotion up and down. I think it just added to it. So when that final buzzer finally went, I think everybody was finally able to really celebrate.
Now, in those days, the Cup did not have a host. So you guys had the Cup to yourselves. Who had the most fun with the Cup that they can talk about?
Mickey.
Kipper.
Who?
I can tell you a story.
Please.
I took it to my hometown in Noranda, Quebec, and I took it to Eric Desjardins' dad. He owned a bar, and the guy took the picture with it, and the Stanley Cup snapped in half. So it wasn't fun. And the guy starts panicking. He turns to me and said, I apologize. And I looked at him and said, I think it's the greatest thing ever. So the guy took a picture with the two pieces of the Stanley Cup. And it was late at night, and one of Mr. Desjardins' dad, had a few beers. He goes, I'm a welder. I'm going to fix the thing. He comes back 2 hours later. He goes, that thing will never break again. I said, why? Well, I don't know much about welding, but one line would have done the job. I think he did that thick of a job. And the NHL were pretty mad, but this had nothing to do with it. That's what I got.
Anybody else break the Stanley Cup in half?
Nope. Well, you can't admit to that, right? No. All right.
Back in the day, you pick it up. So there's all the other luggage coming, and here comes the Stanley Cup in its case. So I open up the case, pull out the cup, and it's broken. Like you said, the top was broken off.
Yeah.
So being a farmer from Saskatchewan, you got to fix that. So all we did was take some nice silver solder and tack it in about 7 spots, and it lasted probably till it got to you. But we did get a few nice jobs for the keepers of the cup. They've had a good living since us.
Mark, what was the favorite thing that you did with the Stanley Cup?
The share part of it for me, with the fans, taking it to the kids, to schools, hospitals, older folks that weren't at hockey games but knew of the Stanley Cup. I think the shared aspect of the Stanley Cup is what makes it so special.
I think that's just going to be about it.